So right now, we're living in a day and age where if someone has enough power or influence, they could reach and shape the minds, especially of our young children, more than ever. Psychological propaganda, disinformation, weaponized information is all around us, and I think it's important to question its obvious role and effects on society, which I would clearly say have been absolutely devastating. And I think it's important to understand that a lot of times when we're consuming information, especially on social media, that has algorithms, that has programs and participations with some of the worst elements of our society, that we should understand a lot of times when we're consuming vast amounts of information, we're consuming a lot of times a bigger agenda, something that of course affects our behaviors and actions that work towards the benefit of other individuals. And I've been talking about this for a very long time, but even recently it just came out that a British intelligence psychological warfare officer is just helping shape the algorithm that decides what people see and what people don't see. And this is just one instance of many instances where governments, private international corporations, powerful special interest groups interfere with social media for a particular outcome. And I think this is one of the reasons why important stories that should have a bigger conversation surrounding it, that should be discussed, that should have more attention on it to prevent things like this from happening, don't. Like this story that just happened recently where a U.S. drone killed over 30 innocent people, including dozens of children, in an accidental drone strike that also injured 40 others. An event that will clearly create blowback, clearly help create more chaos on the world stage. But no, stories about douche flutes, vapes, dominate the headlines, or stories like this that are just absolutely ridiculous on its own face values, and something that, you know, used to be normal, but now is ostracized to a sensational headline that, of course, that now dominates the national discourse for some reason, as somehow it's some kind of strange idea that it's somehow weird that there's a cohesive relationship, that there's a woman who finds joy in a particular activity that she individually likes to do, and that somehow is what we like is dominating the discourse. And not only this story, but the reaction of hatred towards this woman also says a lot about our current day and age society, which I believe has been successfully brainwashed, as demonstrated by this meme, which again just highlights the usual overall thinking of individuals as very mistrustworthy of the state, very untrustworthy of the government. You know, not even so long ago, not even in the 1960s, I still even personally remember living in the 1990s and having phone conversations with friends being like, hey, you know, let's not talk about this because there's probably some people listening in on this conversation, all the way back in the 1990s, all the way with the phones that you have to freaking stand next to the wall with to have a conversation that were wired. Yes, I'm so old. Anyway, but right now, for some reason, it's somehow acceptable. Somehow people have been socially conditioned to have one of the largest companies in the world that does business with the U.S. Pentagon, that does business with ICE, that does business with the CIA. We're talking about Jeff Bezos's Amazon. Literally have a device that listens to everything in your house. And of course, other women being mad about even someone else having the, quote, traditional way of life is just absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, in our current modern day and age, relationships, marriages have been going down. Divorces have been going down as well. But that's mainly because less and less people are having successful families together. And if you break apart the family unit, if you break apart traditions, you're able to control an individual much easier than if they had a strong family backing that was always there for them, that was supportive, that helped them to be strong and healthy as a family unit. But When an individual is by themselves, they're isolated, they're more, in nature, easily to be prey. They're more easily to be susceptible to psychological propaganda. They're more susceptible to be dependent on outside forces like the state. And even just personally thinking about this, I don't want to live a life where I have to pay other people to raise my children. I don't want to pay other people to clean my house. But in the current kind of socioeconomic conditions that have been fostered by us, that have been pushed on us, if you want to take care of your house, if you want to have a family, you need to hire someone else to do those things for you. And I refuse to do that. So how else are people supposed to have successful family units, successful families in a current modern day and age where almost everyone is in debt? I've been on like a few dates this year. Most of the women I talk to are 50,000, 80,000. One even I met was $150,000 in debt. And it's how can you start a family with an individual where you're in absolute economic servitude to paying off a debt because of the societal traps laid in front of us, because the authorities and the establishment keep telling us, hey, you have to go to school, you have to get your education. Indoctrination, really what it is. You have to get that good 9-to-5 job. And sadly, most of our people in our society, especially in America, are stuck in a rut. That's why depression has gone up. This is why anxiety has gone up. And one of the reasons, there's many other factors surrounding this, but I think this is a contributing factor. But if a woman or even a man wants to not just be career focused in the rat race society in front of us created by the establishment, if someone wants to stay at home and help build a family, they should be absolutely commended, looked up to, and supported. These kind of older ideas that are being kind of attacked by the mainstream, by the establishment, they're not bad ideas. It's important to mistrust big institutions. It's important to take care of your household and your family and not pay. This is so ridiculous. Why would you have a family that you don't even raise? Why would you be so busy working that you literally need to hire someone to watch your kids? I can't understand. What's the point? And again, before people get all are triggered and butthurt here, which again, I really don't care about, because, you know, you're in charge of your own feelings and no one else is responsible to how you feel about things except you, the individual. And another thing that just breeds mass control is, of course, collectivism as well, but that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, one day, I can't even believe this is controversial to say, but yeah, one day, watch out, he's going to say something spicy, It's ridiculous. One day, I hope to have a cohesive family relationship where the house and my future kids and my future wife are taken care of. And, that shouldn't be a bad thing. And we can do that by combining the divine feminine and divine masculine, empowering ourselves, helping each other be the best that our individual selves can be. But again, wait, you're helping talk about cohesion. You're helping talk about bringing people together. That's a big no-no. No. Because guess what? It goes against the bigger divide and conquer agenda that naturally sets men and women against each other to, of course, fight. And that disharmony helps people profit and gain more power and control over you. So, yeah, this is why a lot of individuals who have been talking about this and have been promoting have been attacked as they've been. All just another example of the mental enslavement that people are going through. And I mean, what's the point of working full time only to spend all your money on just either useless things or just upkeeping the house and taking care of the children anyway? Raising the children, which is a very important job, which again, less and less people are doing because not just of choice, which they try to convince themselves of, but I think mainly because of the economic circumstances and situations. Because I think the bigger moral of the story here is that the way of life that the mainstream, that society lays out for us is an absolute trap. A horrible trap that is very convenient for those who are in power, but completely screw over the majority of people, especially from the very onset of our lives with an outdated indoctrination slave course that teaches you to be a good follower and, of course, not an independent thinker, doesn't create any real life skills for you to be out there into the real world, just shoves you in there and makes you decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life when you're going into college, getting into servitude and debt that you will never be able to pay off, and that's why you're going to have to get that horrible job with very little vacation time, very little free time to actually be able to do anything. You spend off your entire life paying just to live, and then finally, when you're able to retire, most people just drop dead right away. And all of this is being incentivized to even be more efficient by getting rid of the family unit. Because by getting rid of the family unit, you just have a more efficient, profitable system that reaps the reward from the people benefiting from our suffering. So yeah, F that plan. And again, don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to do what you actually love. Screw the social norms and social pressures that, of course, rob you of your true, authentic self. Because sadly, in my opinion, the majority of people are being socially engineered to be like cattle in a factory farm that just uses and abuses them. So yeah, that is just my opinion on the reaction that this article about this woman in this who wants to live in the 1950s is getting, and overall just a critique of the brainwashing of what is acceptable and expected of you, which my ultimate answer is F all of that. It doesn't matter. Now, whether this happens because of a global conspiracy by a few individuals, or whether this happens because of just monetary incentive, which there obviously is here, I'm not going to get into in this video, but I will in future videos, so don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button, if that even matters now, since, YouTube's been kind of treating us really badly lately. Also, the issues we talked about are meant to be painted to be very divisive, to be very one-sided, to have people on particular polarized opinions to attack each other. But in reality, the bigger kind of argument I'm making here is that there should be a bigger conversation behind the kind of brainwashing, but also, most importantly, behind the socioeconomic conditions that we're living in and the people creating them. That's what I think. If you think I'm totally wrong, let me know why in the comment section below. I always appreciate your criticism. I always appreciate your feedback. I always answer back comments, especially in the beginning of this video, because I really like engaging with you guys, and without you, I wouldn't be here, and that's why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.